create software, and so we are embracing how we can use it. And so today I'll show you a couple of different kind of techniques. I'm hoping that we can kind of do these things together and have a chance to kind of create maybe two pieces of software together, just to give you kind of a flavor, just to kind of give you an idea of what is capable of being done by these large language models. So I know that some of you have had some difficulty installing some of the software that I wanted you to install. So maybe we will take a different tact instead. Hopefully you all are able to install Pulsar. This is an editor. This will serve as just kind of an intermediary. This will be kind of a staging area for the code that we're going to create, the software that we're going to create. So it does have, the nicest thing about this is that it doesn't get in your way. Okay. So, tell you what, I will just simply demonstrate what I was going to do, the software we were going to use, and then we'll try something different. So, this is a software program called LM Studio. This is an open source program. This is designed to allow you to use a variety of models, right? So when we think about the models that are out there, when we think about large language models, what are the names that come to mind when you use a large language model?
You guys kidding me?
There we go, ChatGPT, thank you. That's a good
Don't
one.
embarrass me.
ChatGPT is a good one. Some of the other frontier models, we've got Gemini from Google, we've got Claude from Anthropic, but there are also other open source models that are out there that you can use. And so LM Studio is one of those things that will allow you to use a variety of different models. So, for example, you can see that I've got a couple of models that I've installed on this system already, just because I wanted to test out these different models, see which ones work under which conditions. And so you can see that I've got DeepSeek installed on here. DeepSeek is kind of it's what we call a distillation of ChatGPT. So it's a way to you ask ChatGPT a bunch of questions, and then you use that data to train your model. Then that becomes open source, so that we can download it, we can run it right here locally on our hardware. And then we've got different kinds of systems. So you can see that I've got a model in here called Quinn, which is, again, it's an open model. It is sourced on data that is publicly available. So you avoid kind of some of those ethical quandaries about using copyrighted data to train your models. You can see that I've got like a coder version here. That's the one I wanted you to download. And then kind of the Quinn VI model. This one is more of a general purpose model. So instead, how about we use Gemini instead? So I'd like you all to log into your Gmail account, please. So open up your email. So once you have logged into Gemini or into Gmail, you'll notice over here on the right-hand side this grid of dots, the Google Apps. I want you to click on that grid of dots. And if you scroll down, you should find this one right here, Gemini. So again, this is a frontier model. This is the one that's available to you through your Morningside account. Okay. So this one will act very similar to ChatGPT. It will keep track of, it will allow you to ask questions and get information in there. So, one of the things that we want to do is we want to think about kind of the kind of program that you want to create, and then give that information into Gemini. Okay? So, one of the things that I recommended that we talk about is like a very simple balance sheet kind of calculator. Okay? So we're going to use the web as kind of our interface, our way to put information into this and get information out. Okay? So when we think about something very simple, what kinds of things would we expect our balance sheet calculator to do? Like, all we want to do is like have, like for example, a balance, right? Okay, so we'll have a window that will display our balance. What else should we have in our simple calculator?
Total.
Sure, total, right? So,
What do you mean by total?
What the ending balance would be.
Okay.
and how do we get to that total?
You have to have inputs.
Yeah, you've got to have inputs, right? You've got to have an ability to input in, your expenses,
Deposits.
deposits, right? Okay. What else might be nice for our simple balance sheet calculator?
I said deposit, but I actually think, I meant income.
Income, sure.
Sorry.
Let us be precise.
Yes.
Because that is what we are.
Because they will call you out on it.
And we could have two types of balance, the beginning balance and then the ending balance.
Okay, sure. Sure. So maybe we could have maybe we could do this two different ways. We could have a beginning balance and then an ending balance. Okay, so all of our transactions that we record inside of here could then be from our beginning balance, then they would all be totaled up and put here in the ending balance.
Would there be a time variability on this? Like, when I hear ending balance, would that be like end of day balance, or?
That's a good question. That's a great question.
And is that too complex for the purposes of this?
For the
Because
purposes of our
we're trying to teach
demonstration,
scope
yeah.
here too.
That's true. You're exactly right, right? Like, you do have to think about scope. Part of it is what can you put into the software? What is it that's not important right now, right?
Great point.
One of the things that we'll hopefully discover here is that iteration and doing these things over and over again is actually an important part of this process. How about a transaction history? Something like that. So we can see what our beginning balance is, we can see what our ending balance is, and we can see how we got there. Okay. So we'll have two pieces of input to say, okay, if I've got an expense, we'll put it in there. If I've got an income, I'll put it in there. And then I've got these two pieces here. So when you are prompting your large language model, context is key, right? So you have to tell it, this is where I expect to run this software, this is what I expect it to do, and this is the kind of output that I want, okay? So, in our particular case, we're gonna make it easy on ourselves. We're gonna say our run environment is going to be the web. It's gonna be a web page, okay? So then you're gonna say, what should it do? And again, you need to give it clues. You need to give it context for what it is that you want this thing to do. And then, what kind of output do you want? In this case, we're gonna want an HTML file that we can then use and test right there locally on our machine, okay? So, into Gemini, I want you to type in, I would like a web page that I can run locally on my laptop. That will be a simple balance sheet calculator. Okay, so we're establishing the run environment. We're telling it where we want it to do, or where we want it to run. Again, it's gonna run locally. It's not gonna be up on the web, not yet anyway. So now we need to tell it, what do we want? So in plain English, we need to describe what these things are. So the page should display both a beginning and ending balance at the top of the page. Why not? There should be 2 input buttons. One for the expenses and one for the income.
Buttons or fields? Because I'm just thinking, is it how are you entering in the information?
That's a great question. That's a fantastic question. Let's create a field right next to these buttons
Okay.
that will have that.
So we would be manually entering in either
Yeah.
an expense or an income statement
Yeah.
into an actual field.
Yeah.
Okay.
Let's see, place and input field next to the buttons where the user can input the amount of the transaction. At the bottom of the page, put a history of transactions.
One other question. So when we said field, is the system gonna automatically assume that we have to manually input, or do we have to tell it that?
You know what, that's a great question. That's actually part of the context, right? And
Okay.
so so let's give it a little bit more of the context then. Let's just say,
You do have that kind of sorting, because you've got the input field where it says the buttons where the user can input the amount of the transaction.
Does it say that? Did
Yeah.
you already put it in there?
It's right there, it's like second sentence up from the bottom.
I see it, okay,
Input
my
field.
bad. So it does assume manual input.
well,
Okay.
I mean, again,
But there might
more
be other things
context is
because-
better than less context.
Because you're also gonna need to input the beginning balance, because it's not gonna be able to draw that from somewhere automatically.
That's
right?
true. You're right.
So you're gonna have to
You're
have
right.
that beginning balance input to begin with.
Okay, well then let's be sure to add
That's
that
all.
in as well.
So you guys, I hope you're paying attention, because this is exactly what you're gonna be doing with your projects, and the fact that you got Jeff in here, you got myself, you got Paul in here, like, this stuff has to be flushed. You can't just do this on your own. You're not experts, right? And so my point is, you use the resources that you have to help you build the actual design, right?
This is not as easy as it looks. This is not something you start 5 minutes before you walk into class.
I know that's right.
And if, I'm gonna make a link to something that's probably gonna tick some of you off. If any of you remember writing a process paper in CIC? That's exactly what you're doing. So you're telling a computer how to build a program to do this balance sheet, the same way that if you wrote a process paper but telling somebody who had no idea how to make a peanut butter sandwich, how they would actually make a peanut butter jelly sandwich.
Right.
This is exactly what you're doing. So those of you that might have thought that, learning to write or something like that in English was useless, no.
Yeah. And let me tell you something, it's a pretty powerful story to be able to tell an employer, not only do you understand a balance sheet, but you can actually build one with AI.
Sure.
It puts you in a whole different light.
Okay, so we added some context here. The page will allow the user to manually enter in transactions for the page. And then after the sentence where I specified both the beginning and ending balance, I'm going to say, if the user clicks the beginning balance, allow them to enter in the beginning balance in an alert box. No, in an input box. There we go.
Now, I wanna say one other thing.
Sure.
Dean, I'm terrified when you actually hit that little triangle on what's actually gonna show up. So.
It'll be fun.
But here's the deal.
It'll be enjoyable.
This is all the way experimentation, you know what I'm saying? We will have to fix it, reiterate, whatever. So if we hit that button and it doesn't show up the way we want to, then we try again
Yep.
until we get the result we're looking for.
You're exactly right. You're exactly right. Again, this is an iterative process, and this is one of the powers of language models, is that they remember the things that we type in. They remember their output. And so we can then say, we'll try it, and then say, oh, we're missing something, let's do it again, and try it again.
What kind of, is there a specific type of vocabulary you would need to use when you're trying to build things like this for what you
So,
want to come out?
you're absolutely right. I'm cheating a little bit here, because I said, use an input box here, because I know what that is.
Exactly.
I could have left that off. I could have just said, just allow them to enter the beginning balance. And then the language model will then try to decide for me what it should be.
Which I think is a very dangerous place for you to be in, which is why I'm saying that none of you are experts, right? And that's why whenever you type a prompt in and get the result from ChatGPT, and you don't know what a SWOT analysis is, why are you listening to a machine on what a SWOT analysis is if you haven't actually learned the concept? So I'm not saying you have to be an expert in programming, but that's the whole point of vibe coding, right? Is that because he's putting in specific parameters, there's less room for hallucination, for it going off the rails and giving you something you didn't ask it for.
Yeah.
The more specific you can be, the better your output's gonna be.
But again, that's a good question.
Yeah, especially for the people who I haven't taken any computer science.
Right.
Or anything, so is that
Right.
gonna limit what I can?
It just means that you'll just need to do a few more iterations to get it exactly the way that you want it.
Okay.
And then I'm just gonna type in now the kind of output that I want. I'm just gonna say, put everything that I need to run this program into one HTML file. Okay. So again, I'm cheating a little bit here, Dick. Normally, there are 3 files, right?
Just for the record, we try not to use the word cheat in AI. But I'm just saying.
Very fair, very fair. I am being efficient.
There you go, better
There you
word.
go.
Better word.
Yeah. All right. So once you've got your prompt in there, go ahead and hit the enter button, and it should take a moment to talk about these things. This could be a chance to talk about the different models. So we can see that this is an example of a thinking model. So as you know, large language models are probabilistic systems, right? Basically, it's saying, given all the stuff that has come before, what is likely the next token, okay? About 20% of the time, it changes that word. And the reason why it does that is because it's, if you use the most popular word all the time, the language starts to feel very stilted and very unnatural. And so with a thinking model, what it's doing is that it's spawning a whole bunch of these models together, running all these things together in parallel, and it's saying, what is the most common output that I get from all of these models? And then that's the one I'm going to use. Okay? Okay, here we go. So this is my HTML. So this is the thing that I want. Over here, you can see there's that copy code button. Go ahead and click on that copy code button. And then in Pulsar, basically you just need to find an open window and paste it inside of there. Okay? And again, you don't really care what the code is exactly, because again, this was all generated by an AI. The only thing we really care about is saving this file in a location that we know where it is, so that we can then run it later. So once I have pasted that code into Pulsar, I'll just go to File, and then I'll go to Save As, and then to make it easy on myself, I'll just put it on my desktop, and I'll just call it simple balance.html. Okay. So this will be a very simple file. Again, it's on my desktop because I know where I can find that then in a little bit. You could use, so do the same thing. Let's see, do you have a model? Go ahead. Click on that. Oh, you don't have any models. Okay, let's do that one. And then you'll just use the same prompt.
And then you save as HTML, and then it's gonna activate your code.
Yeah. Okay, so tell you what, just use Gemini.
Everybody
Go
good?
back into your Gemini.
No, you struggle? Hmm?
Yeah, so, what I could do is I could take this prompt right here, and then I could put it into so let's say I could use like the coder model here, right? And then I'll take that same prompt and I'll paste it in here. And then you can see it goes ahead and it creates the same kind of HTML.
should be inside the process? Because I already had mine.
Oh, you've got Windows, so,
No, that's bad.
oh, you do have, oh, it's nice and black.
Yeah.
I don't like that. You want the DMG installer. Yep. And then, there should be some instructions, you just open it up, drag it into your application. Okay. No, that was just a demonstration for somebody who wanted to. So make sure you saved it, right? Yeah. Perfect. Well, then you're the next, hang on for a second.
That's just nuts. I mean,
As long as you've got it saved, as long as it's color coded, you're in good shape.
Ready?
some of this basic, when I was in high school, I remember my dad was talking.
All right.
I can't believe we know.
Manually debugging it, whatever.
We are at the point where we can start doing something. So, so all you have to do is you have to find that file, you just have to open it up. So again, if I'm on Macintosh, I'm gonna use Finder. If I'm on Windows, I'm gonna use File Explorer.
All right, guys, plug in.
And I'm gonna go to the desktop and open this up.
It's
It's
dope.
actually pretty good, right?
Yeah, it's pretty dope.
And let's see. So Jeff, what should I put in for my beginning balance?
$1,000.
$1,000, there we go. Okay, so, again, you can see like I've got an input field here for my transactions. I don't know, so somebody give me an amount.
$769.
$769, and should that be an income or an expense?
Expense.
Okay,
Ooh, you know we forgot. This is cool because I'm immediately seeing what's left. What's missing, guys? What's missing? What is obvious? Again, think through the business lens. What's missing?
What's the expense for?
There's no description?
No, there's no description.
there's no description.
That's another iteration. So that's version 2.
There you go. That is another iteration, right?
Right.
That's good. So, a lot of what you're gonna be doing then is gonna be making sure that this software works, right? So you've gotta be thinking through this process of, okay, well, we've got an expense, now let's test our income. So somebody else, give me a number for income. What's that? 1,000, another 1,000. We do add our income. So that we can see that the income has come in.
And you didn't tell it to do red or green. It just kind of iterated that on its own.
Yeah, it kind of figured it out on its own. So again, it was kind of guessing based off of what we were creating.
One last question. So, when I'm thinking, my mind's thinking about databases, right?
Sure.
Meaning that this information is stored somewhere. How does that work with an HTML file? Like, is this stateless or is it stateful as far as it being able to remember the information?
Yeah, so this is a stateless file, right? So again, this was a very simple demonstration for the purpose of this exercise. So
If
you're exactly
if we
right.
hit the refresh button, it all disappears.
It will disappear, it will go away.
Got it.
So what we can do is we can start thinking about creating some space in the browser to say, okay, now let's save some of this information in the browser so that we can come back to it so that it doesn't go away. So that would be something that I would need to add to what should it do. I would need to tell it, okay, make sure that this is available to the user after more than one session.
Okay.
That's a good example of another iteration that we can add
Right.
to our software.
So as you guys are building your apps and you're having your conversation with different faculty, they will point something out like, okay, this is great, but if I hit the refresh button, it just broke. That's a problem, right? Because you wanted to be able to remember it, and that's part of your feature set that you're building.
So, again, one of the nice things is that you could talk about this with the language model, right? You can say, you know, this is good. I am concerned that my transaction history. Will be gone. When the user closes the browser. What kinds of things can I do to store this information longer term? So you can see that again, it is going through and it's thinking. You can see that it's doing like a revising assumptions here. So again, the current assumption was that this would be a one and done, right? Like you do your transactions and you're done with it. So now it's trying to think through and add some additional features to our code. Okay. So again, this is the kind of iteration that I'm talking about, where you'll try that first one, you'll play around with it, see how it works, see if you like it, and then come back and give it some additional questions, some additional modifications. This is the power of these language models, is that they remember the things that you've done. Oh, whoops. How about that, Dick? It already anticipated the question and said, I've already done it for you. I've put it into local storage.
Really?
Yeah. How funny.
And
I
then it
did not
shows you-
see,
and
I
then it shows you where the
wasn't
code
looking at
is.
the code. I didn't care about it. Was that Jeff?
And then it almost shows you where the code is located.
Yeah. There you go. That's exactly right. If you look at your screen.
I don't believe you.
So let's look at
I've been told to
save
question
states.
everything when it's AI. I don't believe you.
And you'll
Well
notice
then.
that you actually still have quite a bit of human input and supervision to this.
We can test it. So, let's do one more. Let's just do $25 as an expense. Well, then let's see if it does remember it in my browser. So I close up the tab, refresh the browser, there it is. So yeah, it already did that.
Just because I'm gonna go into geek mode, where's the info, where's the data at?
The data is stored in the browser. So like when you have like cookies
Right.
or things like that, that local storage on your hard drive.
So
it's-
if I was to clear my cache, it's gone.
Yeah, if you clear the cache, then it's gonna be gone.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Interesting.
All right, how we doing so far?
Everybody good? Everybody playing around with this here? Okay. Yeah, I'm good.
Okay. So I've got one more example that I might want to show you all.
As you're doing this, I want to say this one last piece, because
Sure.
it does make me curious, right? When you were prompting before, I almost was like, ask Gemini an open-ended question. What else should I have on my balance sheet that would be easy to integrate and just leave it at that, open-ended, and then see what it comes back with, and then ask it how it would do that, and then to do it, and then see what the results look like. So you can take it beyond ultimately, like, again, if you're an expert, you'll tell exactly what you needed to do. If you're not an expert and you're trying to teach yourself, right? That is a use for AI to educate oneself without cheating, right? So you're learning what else an actual balance sheet can do beyond the basics, right? And so how do I build that? So why is that important? Because some of the projects that you guys turned into me are close to being, in my opinion, to a more of a coding type of project as opposed to a no or low code project. So this will help you know where that line is at in the sand between, am I going too far, right? And this kind of is this the future state of what I'm trying to do versus what can I do right now with this technology to build, right? A basic simplistic version of whatever business problem I'm trying to solve, right? So think of it in that way. You're your scaffolding in such a way where you're leveraging the technology to get to ultimately what it is that you want your business problem to solve. All right.
All right, so I come from the stats world, and so I'm sure you all work with spreadsheets and databases and that kind of thing pretty regularly. So I'm going to ask your indulgence and say, let's work with a spreadsheet that I'm typically familiar with, and then you all can think about the use cases that you would use in a business case, a business analysis. All right, so. Storage, Google, APIs.com/Stevens, DSF 23, body, data.csv. Okay, so in your browser, if you just type this in, let's just type in storage.googleapis.com/StevensD. Body data.csv. There we go. Okay, so if you just type that in, storage, Google, APIs.com, Stevens, DSF23, body data.csv. You will get access to a CSV file. What did I do? There we go. So this is a simple spreadsheet. And so say for example that I want to determine about blood pressure between men and women. Okay? And if I want to know if the diastolic pressure is the same for men and women. So you can see I've got this data here, and it's a lot of data, a lot of data. So, what I can do is, let's go back into Gemini. Where's Gemini? There we go. What I'm going to do is I'm going to create a new chat. So, one of the things you're going to find is that after about 10 to 15 questions in one chat, the process is going to degrade. It's because it's running out of memory. And so if you're doing an iteration and it's gone down to like 10, 15 times, it's better just to start over with a new chat and give it the context that you had on that previous chat. So this new chat will allow us to create a new context. It will allow us to create this information. Okay, so I can do this. I can say, I want to do a statistical test of the blood pressure differences between men and women. Okay? So again, I'm establishing the context. I'm telling it, this is what I want to do. So then you have to tell it, okay, well, what kind of things do we want to do? What are the features of this program? So again, normally you would say, okay, what kind of languages are available to me that I could use to run this program? We'll just skip ahead and we'll just say, I'd like a Python program. Yeah, that will
Got my attention.
do the analysis on the data. Okay, so I'm going to tell it where that data is located. It's out there on a bucket in the cloud. Again, it's at storage, googleapis.com, Stevens DSF, that's what it is. Stevens DSF 23 body data.csv.
Nice catch, Dean.
Thank you. So my hypothesis is that there is no difference between the systolic blood pressure between men and women. So then, typically, like, if you've ever taken stats, you've taken it with me as a professor, I always tell you things like, okay, we need to format this so that it only displays 3 decimal points after three places of precision. So display the test statistic and the p-value with 3 points of precision. Whether or not to reject, fail to reject the hypothesis. Okay, so I've told it what I want it to do. I want it to group together men and women, look at the systolic blood pressure, run a statistical test, and output that to 3 points of precision, and then show me whether it should reject or fail to reject the hypothesis. So now I just need to give it my output, what I want it to do. So I just want to say,
Why would you use the term reject or fail to reject?
it's a statistical term
Okay,
that you can never really prove something.
I get it. It's an expert term.
Yeah.
Cool.
It comes from positivist philosophy, but yeah, once you reject, that doesn't necessarily mean you accept the alternative.
Yeah.
I mean, there could be some other things
And
going on.
and I think that goes back to your point. So I didn't know.
Yeah, exactly.
So I'm like, okay, so in like regular people, like speech, what does that mean? And so I assume that even though I'm not being as specific, it will take what I'm asking and it will still give me the same output or results. But because he's an expert, he's gonna be able to challenge whether or not he believes the output, right?
The only issue is that if you don't know that already, if it gives you the output, you don't know what's wrong with the
Right,
data.
and that's why we're setting you up with mentors, with faculty members, to test your business problems so that they make sense, right? Because they're the experts. So you always take your program and you take it and you go test it. Like, if you were an employer, you have
You
interviews.
should just look at the systolic column for between men and women instead of all the other people.
Yeah, that's what I told them.
So that's what you're gonna have to do, is you might actually have to run to be able to check Dean's output. You might actually have to take the same file, put it in Excel, and run your own manual test to figure it out.
Yeah, but then my question becomes, at what point though, does it become more work than less
Exactly,
work?
and so at some point in time.
Does it make
some
sense to
additional-
do this?
Does it make sense to do this? Is what the program is giving me, is that a decent ballpark estimate? If it says, if you know that blood pressure is somewhere between 0 and 200, and the program spits out a value between 500 and 1,000 for the average and the whatever, then you know that something's off.
Yeah.
There you go. All right, so again, it's going to produce for me the Python code that will do this program. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to collab.research.google.com. Oops. Oh, 1L. Collab.research.google.com. And then, so this will allow me to run my Python program up in the cloud. So we don't have to install anything, it's all web-based. So I'll just click on this new notebook right here. And then I will just simply paste my code. Okay. So you can see that it's got the URL, it's got it. Well, actually, we don't even really care what that does. All I want to do is I just want to click on this little play button right here in the upper left-hand corner.
This is so cool. Like when I was going through this, it was never this easy. We had to use Anaconda and all kinds of other stuff.
Right, exactly, right.
This stuff is so easy now.
Okay, so this is a good example of of the kind of things that can go wrong. Right, it says error, a required column, gender, and systolic was not found in the CSV. So I need to look at my data. Whoops, where did it go? Body data. There we go. Aha. So I can see that, first of all, I've got a column, gender, 1 equals M. So I need to tell the language model that's what it should be. So again, I'm all about being efficient, not cheating. So I'm going to copy this and I'm going to give it to Gemini. So I'm going to tell it column names in the file are, and then I will paste that gender 1 equals M, and then my systolic. And then, if you want to be polite, you could say, please fix the code.
Depending on how many times it takes to fix it.
About the second time around, just fix the damn instance.
Right. And the curse words get more colorful after that.
At a certain point, you gotta let it go.
Now again, it's gonna remember the code, well, it's not gonna remember, but it's gonna use the code that it's already produced to go back and fix the errors that were happening there.
So it's debugging it real time?
It is debugging it.
Cool.
So, again, copy the code. Where's my browser? There we go. So again, I'm going to be efficient. I'm just going to delete this cell right here. And then I will paste it right there. And then run it again. The heck? Did I get the wrong version? Ah, this is funny. Well, see, this is a good example. So even though I told it, this is the column number, this is the column name, and this is the
attempted fix.
yeah, the attempted fix, it didn't do it. Because it's still specifying gender right there, the gender column right there. So I'm gonna have to go in and manually fix that. So,
That's actually really cool because it pulled up the sections that it actually fixed, so you didn't have to go hunting through
yeah,
10 or 100 or 200 lines of code to figure out where that little glitch
where that little
is.
thing is, yeah, because that's a lot of debugging, right? It's just tracking
And just
it
tracking it,
down,
code
yeah.
line by line, yeah.
So let's see if we run this. There we go.
Fail to
So I got my
reject.
t-value, I got my p-statistic, my p-value, my t-statistic, and it fails to reject the null hypothesis.
So it's saying that your hypothesis is true.
Yeah, well, it just says we have
Well,
failed to
that's a
reject.
really philosophical question.
Okay.
But you get the idea.
Yeah,
You get
this
the
has
idea.
normally been my experience with trying to code with LLMs is that if you don't know how to code, then and it throws an error. If you don't understand the code, you don't know how to go manually fix the error.
Sure, sure.
But I like kind of, at the end of the day, it told you specifically what was broken. And so, you know, because it's not long code, you knew exactly where to go and what input variable to actually put in there, which makes it kind of intuitive, right? So there's not as much heavy lifting when it comes to trying to figure out why is my stuff going in code.
Right.
Because I've been in that situation when we're doing it the old-fashioned way,
Yeah.
and I'm just like, I don't understand this enough to know. Seriously, I'm like, I'm gonna give up. I'm gonna walk away.
Yeah.
But in this case, it actually told you where to actually, like being a doctor that's performing surgery,
Right.
right? I'm actually going to tell you exactly where to clip, where to cut, where to pull. I mean, everything is giving you that step-by-step guide.
Yeah.
That's different. I mean, and I took my boot camp, I wanna say, maybe not this past summer, the summer before that. I think I ended in May. So within about a year, 18 months, none of this tech was here.
Right.
It was, you know, you couldn't do vibe coding 18 months ago.
That's right.
And they weren't teaching this to us either. They were teaching us the old-fashioned way. So my question for you is, how are you adjusting? Because if this is the new way to actually produce code, are you still forcing students to
Yeah.
do it the old-fashioned way?
This semester, I am. I'm. So let me be clear. I would love to have. I want to have a conversation with like my colleagues, but I would love to have like a vibe coding class where we start off with this thing that I just gave you, and then we start talking about expanding the things that it can do, and start talking about what are the things we can do using vibe coding.
Yeah.
And then later on, when it comes to what do you do when the LLM is wrong, then we need to start learning how to code. We need to know how those things work. We need to know, okay, it's not working because of this reason, and I can go in there and I can fix it and get my thing working again. And tracking down, that frustration that you had of where the hell do I go to fix that one little thing that's not working.
Exactly. Okay.
So I'm thinking that we'll start with let's start with vibe coding. Now let's talk about, well, what is the LLM doing and how can we look at that code make sure that it's running correctly.
So last piece, and I know we're running out of time here. Jeff, you mentioned in one of our faculty meetings about, when we had our executive residents here,
Mhm.
the difference between, LLMs and AI that does prediction.
Predictive, yeah.
And some of these students in here today are doing projects that are predictive, right? It would have, I guess the real quick question to you is this: how would we have made something like this predictive? Because when I think about business use case,
Sure.
that's the type of stuff that
Sure.
I would wanna know.
The short answer is that we can create models using a variety of different features, right? Like your model could be as simple as a linear regression, or your model can be as complex as a neural network. And so
Stick with the linear regression, because I think what you're saying is this: we can predict future performance based on past performance and get some level of certainty that we can actually share with our stakeholders.
that's exactly right.
So do you-
That's
so
exactly
you
right.
just need like data from maybe 2 years or 2 years before, and then
Yes.
just use that as the
Baseline.
predictions, yeah.
Correct, to get, for your future predictions, and then you modify it as you get new data that comes in, and you make the adjustments accordingly.
Yeah, that's exactly right.
Okay, guys, hey, so thank you, this has been
You're welcome.
awesome. I mean, I wish we had more time, I'm sure these guys definitely have some questions for you. You guys got any questions, send them to me, and, if I can't field them, I'll tap Dean for them, but, hopefully this was helpful to you as far as building your project out. Okay? Thank you so much.
Every time we do something like this, I